Part 101. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1025. Nearly a month has passed since the Daodi invasion, and the originally fragmented China has gradually begun to regain some vitality. On the moon, a holy and majestic angel palace has been established, and even high-ranking angels had the leisure to create a simulated sky for the temporary palace. The reason why the speed is so fast is because Binghua transported the material printer from the justice world, and the materials needed to build the palace can be easily printed out. As for the construction of the palace, it is even more convenient. The angel in the angel group is not a humanoid battleship, so it is no problem to carry some construction supplies. Goddess, the palace's space-time shield system has been constructed, but we are staying here blatantly like this. If Karl sends his affiliated civilization to attack, I'm afraid there won't be enough defensive troops by then. Ran said with some worry that Binghua had already planned this. When Ran asked, he simply stated his plan. There is nothing to worry about. Although you, Queen, and I are confident, we are not arrogant enough to think that we can get rid of that guy Karl with our current strength alone. However, the problem of troop strength should indeed be resolved immediately, otherwise it will be too late to gather troops after Styx's army arrives in the Red Crow star system. Let's do this. You lead some high-level angels to build a jump gate, and I ask Samilo to jump the engineering troops over and build a small time-space gate on the moon. Samilo's engineering force is a construction army composed entirely of intelligent machines. It can quickly build creations that meet specifications according to drawings and models set in advance. As the Samilo host gradually became an integral part of the Justice World's army, all the jobs in the Justice World that could be replaced by machines were handed over to intelligent machines. Among them, military use has the widest coverage, because on a dangerous battlefield, losing a machine is always more cost-effective than a life. The purpose of establishing a small time and space gate is to connect with the time and space gate of the God's throne world across the super galaxy cluster. Otherwise, it would take an extremely long time to send troops from the Justice world. While Binghua was busy building some infrastructure on the moon, China was also leaping towards a space-grade civilization. In order to stop being beaten, various expensive projects were quickly launched. If China had done this before the Daodi invasion, it would undoubtedly have been considered militarism to the extreme, but now no one has raised any objections. Because China, including other civilizations on Blue Star, no longer want to experience the feeling of being pinned to the ground and massacred by extraterrestrial civilizations again. At the same time, in the Shenhe-Tiandao galaxy, which is millions of light-years away from China, the Liang civilization has been accumulating strength since the Lord God Emperor Rena ascended to the Liang throne. Nowadays, it is known that the universe is in chaos, and the angel civilization, the guardian of order, has nothing to do but the blazing sun finally reveals its majesty to the outside world after tens of thousands of years. First of all, there are the islanders who have been fighting against Liang to invade Liang's heavenly order star territory. Liang civilization uses Husha to protect Yuanli and Black Crocodile to protect Suankan as the vanguard, leading the Liang army to take the initiative to attack Ai. The Slan attacked. Liang Emperor Lina and General Pan Zhen took the Yungziaoding and led the Liang fleet to press on. The Holy Dragon Guards Laiyan, the left and right Suanwei troops are responsible for preventing the Thunder Blade Stars from launching sneak attacks during the Liang civilization expedition, and the Red Phoenix protects Yugzu and leads the army to guard Liang Star. It can be said that wars are happening everywhere in the known universe today. The suppressed careerists and the seeds of hatred brewed by the perennial conflicts of various civilizations under the power of angels broke out uniformly after losing their suppression. The Shenhe-Tiandao galaxy is just a microcosm of the entire known universe. The number of God-making civilizations in various star regions annexing the surrounding weak civilizations began to increase after the fall of Holy Kesha. All civilizations are taking advantage of this opportunity to strive to strengthen themselves, hoping to have the last laugh in this chicken-eating contest in the entire known universe. Now two heavyweight players, Angel and Tiangong, are fighting to the death near the Angel Nebula, and Liang begins to rebuild the declining Liang heavenly way. Styx is hiding in the dark and plotting evil. The two major god-making civilizations in the Pocket Nebula are fighting to the death, and a large number of ordinary god-making civilizations are preparing to join forces to fight against these behemoths. Triangular creatures began to infiltrate quietly, and the animal civilization was looking for an opportunity to rise again to regain control of its own destiny. When all this information was gathered in front of Shen Hexi, the angel regent in the mellow heavenly court, it gave her a headache. Rather than dealing with these messy interstellar civilization relationships, Hexi felt that scientific research was more suitable for her. Your Majesty King Tianji, the Sala civilization has sent a request for help. They are being plundered by the civilization affiliated with Tianji. They are asking us angels to make the decision for them. A high-ranking angel stepped into the mellow hall to report to Hizui, but this aroused He-11's inner irritability. Ask for help, ask for help. I've been asking for help from Merlot Heavenly Court all day long. We have blocked Huaye's troops, and the rest are some small characters who can't stand on the stage. Don't they know how to solve the trouble by themselves? Why are the civilizations within the Just Order so weak? I think it would be better to disband the Just Order as soon as possible. The high-ranking angels below felt ashamed when they heard the angry words of the holy Hexi on the throne, but fortunately this was just a complaint from the regent, and he did not really want to dissolve the order of justice. Okay, I'll make you laugh. It's been such bad news all day long, and I'm inevitably in a bad mood. No, Your Majesty King Tianji, if you hadn't been in charge of the Marrow Heavenly Court, Huaye would have already arrived in the Marrow Star territory. However, those civilizations were so well protected by the order of justice that the first thing they thought of when facing a crisis was to ask for help from our angels. So, Your Excellency King Tianji, please don't be angry with them. After all, no one expected that the righteous order would become what it is today. The high-ranking angel comforted him. He-11 sighed and said, My abilities are limited. I can block Huaye, but wanting to defeat him and the Tiangong group in a short time is beyond my ability. I'm afraid Binghua will have to come to do this. By the way, is there any news about the Heavenly Sword King? She should have entered the known universe. Facing He-11's inquiry, the high-ranking angel quickly told a piece of news he had received. According to the information in Kesha's treasure house of sacred knowledge, the Heavenly Sword King used the Stargate channel to go to the Chaiwa star system not long ago. But that place is a bit remote, and we don't have any reconnaissance angels there, so the information we get is extremely limited. But according to the intelligence coming from the Styx galaxy, the Dowdy civilization's expedition fleet to the Chaiwa star system was almost completely wiped out. Moreover, the affiliated civilizations of the Styx are currently gathering fleets, and they don't know where their target will be. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1026. That guy Binghua could obviously go back to Marrow Heaven, but he went to Chaiwa's star system instead. Forget it, I don't count on her anymore. Has Huaye done anything special recently? Huaye has been staying on his Xintian palace recently and hasn't shown up for a long time. Forget it, let's not mention that coward. Tell Nishang to give me a hard beating and let her not worry about the logistics. In addition, we will increase assistance to affiliated civilizations and allow them to complete a comprehensive change of uniforms as soon as possible, otherwise they will suffer a huge disadvantage against the Tiangong army. The assistance He-11 mentioned was only started by the Angel civilization in recent times. After all, the affiliated civilization worked hard for the Angels, and the Merlot Heavenly Court could not show any sign of it. He-11 does not use justice and ideals to gather allies like Kesha, but she knows how to distribute benefits, So in order to make the relationship between the affiliated civilization and the angel civilization closer, it is also to enhance their combat capabilities. Merlot Heavenly Court began to spare no effort to support the affiliated civilizations under its command, with a full set of dark energy utilization technologies, material science technologies for God-making civilizations, and assistance with as many resources as you can digest. Not to mention anything else, the Merlot Heavenly Court has established a righteous order and become a pole of the universe for so many years, and the conventional resources are really too abundant to be used up. At the beginning, the Tiangong group swept the entire righteous order and seemed to be able to easily destroy the Merlot Heavenly Court, but now, not to mention the Merlot Heavenly Court and the Angel Legion. The affiliated civilizations of the Angel civilization are getting stronger and stronger as they fight, and their equipment upgrades are crazy, which shows the wealth of Merlot Heaven behind them. The materials and armament of various warships, instead of getting worse as the war continued, became more and more sophisticated. The Shima Empire, who was responsible for confronting them, knew this well. Carl, this is different from what was promised. Huaya from Death Song Academy paced back and forth in front of Carl's desk, looking very anxious. King Huaya, I understand the anxiety in your heart, and I don't feel the same way. I had expected Binghua's appearance, but even I had not discovered where the previous generations of holy left-wingers under her command, as well as a large number of high-level angels, were hiding. Carl still had that unhurried tone, which made Huaya very unhappy. Then what do you think we should do now? The strategy formulated by that old woman He-11 has no flaws and is as stable as a dog. I can't find a way to break the situation in a short time. It was nothing before, but Binghua and the angels that emerged under her command proved that time is not on our side. In fact, Carl was not afraid of Binghua. After learning from Doughty that Binghua was now located in the Chiwa star system, Carl immediately transferred the important materials and data from the new Death Song Academy. Nowadays, except for Snow and some mortals responsible for daily maintenance, there are almost no high-level combat forces stationed in the entire Death Song Academy. Carl was afraid that one day when he was doing research at the Death Song Academy, a star would explode around him and wipe out the details of Styx. After thinking about Huaye's question for a moment, Carl gave an answer. Don't worry about Binghua's affairs for the time being. Her current target is me and she won't cause trouble in Tiangong in the short term. Oh, then I should feel lucky, and this does not solve the essential problem. Huaya would not feel at ease just because of Carl's words, and maybe Binghua would turn his gun on him tomorrow. King Huaya, it is not impossible to break through the angels' defense and break into Merlot Heaven, but before that we need the help of an existence. Carl opened another topic and began to guide Huaya not to pursue Binghua's issue. Who is it? And don't sell things to me anymore. We don't have that free time. Carl didn't care about Huaye's disrespect towards him and just whispered two words. Liang Bing. Liang Bing. Will she help us? I heard that she was captured by Binghua hundreds of years ago and was imprisoned. Why don't you know her whereabouts? Huaya planned to listen to Carl for any good ideas that could help him break through the defense line outside the Angel Nebula as soon as possible. I didn't know where Liang Bing was being held at first, but by chance, I caught a lone angel. It happened that her status among the angels was enough to give her access to some information that Merlot Heavenly Court did not disclose to the public, so I got the location of Liang Bing's detention. That is the angel prison located on the edge of the Marrow planet system. Not only Liang Bing is imprisoned there, but also some defeated generals of the former Heavenly Sword King, and even special civilizations that have broken into the Marrow galaxy. Hearing this, Huaya became interested. What he currently lacks are generals who can compete with God-level angels, and there is no shortage of resources. And there must be something unique about being able to survive in the hands of Binghua's killer embryo. If he rescues them, he doesn't have to worry about them not working for him. After all, they have a common enemy. Do you have a way to get close to the angel prison? As long as you can get close to me, with my power, I will definitely be able to break into that prison. Carl stood up from his seat, walked to the bookshelf, pulled out a book with a golden cover, and opened it. The projection of the cylindrical tower-like shape of the angel prison appeared. I wouldn't tell you this if there was no other way. This is the general structure of angel prison. There is also a way to bypass the wide area scan of Merlot Heaven, as well as the identification information of angel prison. With this, as long as you don't bring many people with you, you can sneak into the outer reaches of the Marrow planet system quietly. After speaking, Carl directly placed the book in his hand on the desk and pushed it towards Hua. Then do you have a way to go one step further and sneak into the Merlot Heavenly Court? I will go and deal with that bitch he 11. The angels on the front line will definitely be in chaos. By then, I will be able to control the entire angel nebula without any effort. Faced with Hua's extravagance, Carl just responded lightly. If you are daydreaming, please go back to your angel palace. I don't have the technical reserves in this area. Hua let out a disappointed sound and picked up the gold-covered book on the table. Now that he had gotten the breakthrough he wanted, Hua was not going to stay here any longer. After Hua left, Snow appeared from the shadows on the side. My God, why did you ask Hua to go to Angel Prison to rescue Liang Bing? Even if Liang Bing is rescued, reorganizing the demon civilization may not be able to change the current situation in Angel Nebula. This has nothing to do with changing the situation of the confrontation between Merlot Heavenly Court and Heavenly Palace. Carl did not answer Snow's question, but just said something that had nothing to do with the answer, and then asked how the preparations for the War of the Styx-affiliated civilization were going. My God, Sirius, Doughty, Red Demon, and other civilizations have completed preparations for the expedition. The other second-generation Void Warriors have also assembled and will go to the Chiwa star system together. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1027. Now that we have completed the war preparations, let's go. We don't want to eliminate Binghua and the high-level angels under her command, but we also want to drag them there. Carl's plain words reached Snow's ears, and this time he spent almost all of his wealth to fight against Ice Flower Styx. The organic second-generation Void Warrior Legion, all Styx-affiliated civilizations, and all the deeply hidden gods of Styx also accompanied them. Most of these gods are the byproducts of some of Carl's experiments. Although they possess extremely powerful power, due to their character flaws, they can only be used as simple war machines. This time, in order to fight against Binghua, Carl also released them all. If the Death Song Academy hadn't been destroyed once, Carl would have had more experimental subjects that could be put into this war. However, these things cannot be used as bargaining chips to defeat the opponent. At most, they can only cause some minor troubles for Binghua, so it is imperative to obtain more void particles. Carl did not believe that Binghua could fight against the army of void warriors equipped with third-generation void engines, but he still needed the help of the Liang civilization to obtain enough void weapon particles. But now that Binghua has released the news that he is going to fight Styx, with Pan Zhen's scheming character, he will never take the risk of openly offending the King of Heavenly Sword. Therefore, if you want to get enough void particles, you need to take a long-term approach. At least let Liang see that Styx is capable of fighting against the Sky Sword King. When the civilization affiliated with Styx entered the large wormhole and prepared to go to the Chiwa star system, China's moon also underwent a big change after this period of construction. Towering buildings were centered on Binghua's palace and spread out in all directions. Giant antimatter annihilation turrets used to attack cosmic aerospace units rose from the ground. Even the Purifier Construction Legion that jumped over ran to Mars and began to transform Mars according to the standards of the Fortress world. While China is busy building its own aerial warships, several orbital defense bases comparable to a city have been built near the Moon. Such a rapid construction speed made Blue Star, who was close at hand, stunned for a while, and they all lamented that advanced civilization is different. In fact, this is Blue Star's misunderstanding of the world of justice. The Orbital Defense Base is a module produced in advance by the Purifier Corps and assembled after jumping to the Moon. What makes Shenzhou drool the most is the space-time shield system of the Justice world. This black technology shield system can defend against any attack as long as it has sufficient energy. It is definitely a nightmare for any attacker. As for the giant turrets on the Moon's surface that can be seen using astronomical telescopes on Blue Star, it makes observers feel suffocated. At the same time, several purification fleet groups composed of purification fleets replaced the patrolling angels and were used to warn the insect bridge near Pluto. The 10 legions of the Eternal Guards who were transferred by Binghua to defend the Moon were the elite legions of the original world Elers. They were famous in the world of justice for their high mobility and defensive warfare, which was just right for the Red Crow Star. System situation. Of course, it is unrealistic to expect that there are only 500,000 Eternal Guards and supporting Legion fleets to defend the entire Red Crow Star system and confront the Styx. Therefore, Binghua transferred 20 group defense forces from some worlds, as well as a large number of intelligent combat units from Seminary to make up for the lack of troops. In fact, Binghua can definitely mobilize more troops, but if too many are teleported over, it will be too troublesome to teleport back in the future. Moreover, with Semilo's intelligent machines acting as vanguards and attacking troops, the manpower gap was not as serious as imagined. Although the Justice world is now in conflict with the United Empire, the system of the United Empire is too special. According to the intelligence gathered from the Justice world, after the expeditionary force captured several colonial worlds of the United Empire, the United Empire also organized a counterattack. A large number of warships that applied dark energy weapon technology and biomechanical transformation units caused some minor troubles to the world of justice, but they did not cause a big blow to the expeditionary force. Then the United Empire seemed to be in trouble. As soon as the expeditionary force from the Justice world arrived, the United Empire began to recover some personnel from the colonial world and completely gave up the defense of the colonial world. Therefore, the war pressure on the Just world is not great, and there is no comparison between a war of this intensity and a full-scale mobilization war against the Chaos Virus and the Eternal Ascended Ones. The world of Ilals alone can bear the small amount of troops mobilized by Binghua, and there are thousands of worlds in the world of justice. Even if the war with Styx fails this time, the losses caused will only be to the world of justice. Just drizzle. In the 5th month when Binghua established his palace, and the defense line established by the Justice world in the Chaiwa star system had been roughly formed, Shenzhou was considering one thing, whether they should join the Justice world. During this period, China and the Ilals people in the world of justice got along well. After all, there was no conflict of interest between the two parties. The only thing was that the Ilals people felt a little disdain for the fact that China did not believe in the goddess. China, on the other hand, respects the beliefs of the Ilals people, which is also the prerequisite for friendly exchanges between the two sides. One party must always make some concessions on some minor issues. And it is precisely because of this that China has such a comprehensive understanding of the world of justice. After all, no one knows the world of justice better than the people of Ilals. From the establishment of a just world and ideas, to the tortuous history of the Ilals people. Under the threat of the Eternal Ascended Ones, a great transfer was carried out in order to preserve the fire of civilization, and thousands of years later, under the leadership of the Eternal Queen Qi, they regained their homeland. Later, for the sake of the future of the righteous world, hundreds of worlds worked together to resist the invasion of chaos and the Eternal Ascended Ones, which all moved China. Of course, when telling the glorious history of these just worlds, the Alal's people will inevitably beautify and exaggerate some things, but this does not affect China's perception of the just world. After all, the goddess of the world of justice established a palace on the moon, which did not have any impact on the lives of the people in China. Rather, seeing the exaggerated defense facilities, the people of China felt more at ease. This is also the reason why Shenzhou is considering whether to join the justice world, because according to the Alal's people, as long as they join the justice world, they will be their own. In addition to fulfilling some obligations, China is almost completely autonomous, and Justice World will provide China with a large amount of technical and resource assistance to prevent China from being too far apart from other worlds in Justice World. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1028. But before Shenzhou could make up its mind to join the world of justice, Styx's counterattack began. Pluto's insect bridge moved abnormally, and then densely packed warships of unknown civilizations poured out of it. The Purification Fleet patrolling here immediately launched an attack on these uninvited guests, and the two sides fought fiercely near Pluto. The Purification Fleet is supported by Semilo's computing power. Although the total number is not as good as that of Styx's affiliated civilization fleet group, it is not inferior at all. However, attacks from both sides are usually unable to cause fatal damage to the other side, and it often takes a long time to exhaust their shields and destroy the enemy ship. Compared with the light energy barrier and the purification energy field, the purification energy field is of course dominant, but the number of purification flagships is limited and cannot form a military advantage to block the insect bridge. Therefore, the fleets of the Styx-affiliated civilizations have been increasing. Binghua, who was sitting in the lunar palace observing the battle situation, didn't care about this. The purification fleet was originally a consumable used to eliminate small groups of chaos virus in Semilo's combat system. What is really valuable are those combat units above the purifier sequence, such as the planetary fortress destroyer, and the mass-produced model destroyer of the destroyer mechanical warrior. Seeing that Styx's fleet was having a good time fighting, Binghua ordered Semilo, "Put in the purifier sequence mechanical warriors to make them happier." "Yes, goddess." Semero's words that were so plain and emotionless appeared, and then he hid near Pluto, and the transport ship used to carry the purifier sequence mechanical warriors gradually emerged. Under the puzzled gazes of all the warships in the Styx, the transport ship rushed into the battlefield, and then flipped the sides of the warship outward to reveal the internal carrying compartment. Then a figure with metal armor, wings spread out on his back and a giant energy blade flew out of the carrier. The Styx fleet, which was gradually gaining the upper hand, was rushed by the mechanical warriors of the purifier sequence, and the formation immediately dispersed. Although the purifier sequence mechanical warrior has always been beaten in front of the Angel Legion, it depends on who he is competing with. You must know that in the world of justice, only the newly created Super Legion warriors can defeat the Purifier series mechanical warriors in a one-on-one duel. Including the elite legions, mechanical warriors who encounter the Purifier sequence on the battlefield need to be careful. Otherwise, if they are not careful, they will rush into the formation and kill them. You must know that this is a combat weapon designed and mass-produced by Semilo to compete with the Angel Warriors. The only condition that restricts their appearance on the battlefield is the material inventory. Because the Chiwa star system does not have a purifier production line, Semilo only jumped 10,000 mechanical warriors of the purifier sequence through the jump gate to the Chiwa star system. The second batch of 100,000 people are being started up and prepared from the warehouse, and will soon reach the Chiwa star system through the jump gate. Facing the purifier sequence mechanical warriors raging in the fleet, Styx's side was not without any countermeasures. Soon some entities very similar to the Dowdy mechanical warriors appeared on the battlefield. So the two pure mechanical engineering creations under the scientific system began to compete, but in the end, the purifiers who relied on the core of self-disciplined combat could not compare with the Styx void mechanical warriors who had been selected from thousands and received the blessing of death. But the purifier died after being unable to continue fighting, causing the Styx side to suffer a lot. The reason why there is a sacrificial explosion before shutting down is that the Military Scientific Research Department of the Justice World added it after communicating with Semiolo. In the past, Semiolo did not install this function on the purifier because it was intended to be recycled and reused after damage. If it were to self-destruct, it would greatly increase the production cost. But the military in the world of justice does not think this way. What they consider is that when such intelligent combat weapons can be used, it is either for reconnaissance or some special combat missions. Therefore, when the combat capability is lost, giving the enemy a final kill has become the primary consideration of these military scientists. Therefore, the Military Science Department of the Justice World improved the purification core through the theoretical knowledge provided by Semiolo, so that it can accumulate energy and actively detonate. This fleet battle that took place near Pluto lasted for nearly a month before the Styx fleet finally gained an upper hand and began to push the battle line forward. Due to the heavy losses, the purification fleet group began to evacuate backwards for reorganization and repairs. But generally speaking, the Styx side did not gain any big advantage. The only good news was that they did not have to fight to the death as soon as they came out of the insect bridge. When the war started in the Chiwa star system, Hwaye also started taking action. He brought a group of his cronies, personal guards who had just completed the upgrade of the divine body, bypassed the front line of defense constructed by neon clothes and sneaked in. Inside the Angel Nebula. In the Styx galaxy, in the deepest part of the Death Song Academy, there was an unusually cold room in the middle of the sky. Within a translucent square barrier, an angel was dozing off leaning on the barrier behind him. An area on the side of the dark metal ring device on her neck was flashing with a faint blue light. With the sound of mechanical braking, the thick metal door opened to both sides, and Carl walked in slowly, followed by Snow. "I wonder if you have figured it out. The queen you are loyal to has fallen not long ago, and the order of justice has fallen apart under the destruction of Hwaye. If you continue to be uncooperative, I will have no choice but to destroy you. After all, apart from serving Styx, you no longer have any value." Carl spoke extremely cruel words in a calm tone. The angel in front of him, who was imprisoned in the void energy barrier and equipped with a restraining device, was the fourth holy left-wing angel Ruaning, who had not been heard from in Merlo heaven for thousands of years. After Kesha forcibly resigned from the position of the holy left wing, Ruaning couldn't stand the comments and strange looks from his colleagues, and left Merlo Heavenly Court and Angel Nebula in frustration without even saying hello. Even in order to prevent being disturbed by other angels, Ruaning unilaterally disconnected from the Holy Kesha Knowledge Treasure House, not wanting his colleagues to find out his whereabouts. Unexpectedly, after leaving, she would never be able to return to the Merlo Heavenly Court, and even Queen Keisha would not be able to contact her. Because Ruaning, who was wandering in the universe, unfortunately encountered Liangbing and was captured by mistake, and has been imprisoned in the Sirius galaxy in the Styx. Liangbing's original intention was to keep Ruaning, the former Holy Left Wing, and negotiate terms with Merlo Heavenly Court when necessary, but who knew that her demon fleet was taken away by Binghua hundreds of years ago, and she was also caught by mistake. Imprisoned in Angel Prison. While being escorted by Binghua, Liangbing also thought about whether to use Ruaning in exchange for his freedom, but then thought that this was impossible, so he hid it. Afterwards, the demon civilization was completely surrounded and suppressed by the angel civilization. Ruaning was accidentally handed over to Carl by the demons of Sirius in exchange for the protection of Styx. So Ruaning fell into Carl's hands after going around a lot, and Carl, who had a big clock, also got a lot of information about angels from Ruaning. Especially some of the secrets of angel civilization, and angel prison is one of them. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shi Feng Si Wang. Chapter 1029. Facing Karl's invitation, Ruoning did not agree immediately, but remained silent. By the way, I forgot to tell you that after Kesha's death, he 11 trained Angel Yan as the future king of angels. He personally supported him and sent him to frontline commander Ni Chang for training. Karl secretly changed the concept. In fact, he just learned from Huaya that Angel Yan had re-emerged on the battlefield between Tiangong and Marrow Heaven. He just wanted to provoke Ruoning's dissatisfaction with Angel Yan. As far as Karl knew, the Angel's holy left wing had always fallen or retired, and there was no precedent of resigning during the term, so he made a bold guess that Ruoning's retirement must be related to Angel Yan. That's Xiao Baiqi, what's so good about her? Queen Kesha likes her, and King Tianji also likes her. Sure enough, as soon as she heard the name Yan, Ruoning could no longer maintain her silent look. It can be said that the reason why she ended up in this end was mostly due to herself, and Yan's reasons were not included among them. Karl was a little surprised that Ruoning would have such a big reaction. In his impression, angels were well educated and rarely said bad words, so Karl simply added to the fire. In addition, the Heavenly Sword King has returned to the known universe and seems to be planning to re-enter the Merlot Heavenly Court. Judging from the current situation, without Holy Kesha in Merlot Heaven, it seems that no angel is qualified to compete with her for the position of King of Angels. Karl, what do you mean by this? I know this is impossible. You misunderstood. Serving for me is just a more direct way of saying it. We can also have a cooperative relationship. For example, I will help you become the King of Angels, and you will turn a blind eye to Styx's research on the void in the future. What kind of cooperation method? Seeing that Ruoning was moving, Karl simply waved his hand and lifted the void energy barrier imprisoning Ruoning. This is my sincerity. Ruoning spread out her angel wings and slowly landed on the ground, stretching her body. Tell me how you plan to make me king. I know the background of angels better than you. If you want to become the king of angels, you must have the prestige to overwhelm all angels. I think Huaya has a good head, and he is very suitable as a stepping stone for me to return to Merlot Heaven. Ruoning opened her mouth to ask for Huaya's head, and her words were not polite to Karl at all. Forgive me for not agreeing to this. King Huaya's career is generally still on the rise. I need her to attract the attention of Merlot Heavenly Court. Then you are talking nonsense. You don't even want to use this little bargaining chip, and you still want to make me the king. Is it because I am easy to deceive, or you are too naive? Ruoning's words angered Snow, who was standing beside him, and he stepped forward and warned. Don't be rude to our god. Don't forget your current status. You are no longer the holy left wing of the angels. Pay attention to the attitude of your words. Ruoning snorted and said nothing, as if waiting for Karl to express his thoughts. In fact, you don't need Huaya's head to regain what you lost with your own abilities. For example, having more dazzling military exploits than Angel Yan proves that you are more capable than him. What do you think? Karl's plan is very simple, that is, to cooperate with Ruoning in acting so that she can gain a pivotal position in the Merlot Heaven. This will arouse the factional conflicts within the Merlot Heavenly Court and prevent the Merlot Heavenly Court from being able to unite as one, and that's it. As for letting Ruoning become the King of Angels, Karl just said it and didn't even think about it in his heart, because the difficulty is no more than that of the current King of Heavenly Sword, King of Heavenly Base, and all the Merlots. It's easy to knock down the higher UPS in heaven. If he could really do this, why would he support Ruoning as the king? He would directly destroy the Merlot Heavenly Court. Wouldn't all the problems be solved in this way? And this way, he doesn't have to pay anything. He only needs to provide basic intelligence support. Even if the plan to start an internal fight between the angel factions fails, it doesn't matter. It's just a casual move anyway. That's not bad. Anyway, I just don't want that little Bai Chi Yan to ride on my head. Ruoning walked up to Carl and stretched out her hand, saying bitterly, I hope our cooperation will be pleasant. Carl also stretched out his hand to hold Ruoning's palm, but before he could feel the warmth of his palm, Ruoning's other hand made a grasping shape and plunged into Carl's chest. The next moment, Carl's body began to decompose rapidly at the position where Ruoning attacked. Snow on the side was stunned when he saw this. He took out his sickle and swung it at Ruoning. Ruoning quickly stepped back with quick eyes and hands, and then disappeared in front of Snow in a flash. When Ruoning appeared again, he was already behind Snow and kicked him into the wall beside him. I knew the chances of you succumbing to sticks were too slim. Although Carl's body was rapidly decomposing, he was not panicked at all. The program that uses the wormhole transport ability to decompose super genes. If an ordinary god is implanted with this kind of thing in his body, I am afraid it will gradually be decomposed into nothingness. But I'm different. Although your decomposition procedure is novel, I don't have a physical body, so it's useless to me. After Carl finished speaking, most of his disintegrated body immediately collapsed, and then reunited again, no different from before. TCH, I knew this thing couldn't kill you. Although Ruoning had expected it, she still felt a bit disappointed in her heart. At this time, Snow also rushed out of the collapsed wall and slashed out with the sickle in his hand. Ruoning leaned back to dodge, and at the same time a sweeping kick hit Snow's arm that was raised to block. My God, please step back, I will handle this. Snow and Ruoning distanced themselves again and stood in front of Carl. No, you seem to have forgotten that you are wearing a restraint device. As soon as it is started, your genetic engine will be forcibly shut down, and your divine body will rapidly weaken until you have no ability to resist. A disdainful smile appeared on Ruoning's face, and she stretched out her hand to hold the metal ring around her neck, ignoring the blue light that lit up on it, and exerted force. A circle of void energy suddenly exploded and washed through the entire corridor. Ruoning shook his head and recovered. It's just a restriction device. I cracked it hundreds of years ago. If I hadn't been able to get out of the cage made of void energy, you would have thought that I could be trapped here. Ruoning was caught because she fell into the hands of Liang Bing, the founder of micro-wormhole warfare. Otherwise, in terms of life-saving ability, sticks really wouldn't be able to catch her. But Ruoning also knew that even if she escaped from the cage constructed by the void barrier, it would be difficult to leave the Death Song Academy today. He had not forgotten that even Queen Kessa could not do anything to Carl. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1030. Moreover, this is the base camp of Styx. She knows all kinds of defense systems with her buttocks, and it is definitely not something that a war god like her who prefers wormhole computing can force a breakthrough. To put it nicely, this is called a desperate fight, but to put it worse, it means that a trapped beast is still fighting, and no matter how hard it is, there will be no escape in the end. But Ruoning was once the holy left wing after all. Even if she died, she didn't want to be locked up in the void barrier and destroyed without any resistance, so even if she couldn't kill Carl, she might as well pull his men to support him. After determining the battle target, Ruoning showed off the fierceness of a veteran battle god. He ducked through the wormhole and came to Snow's side. He put his palms together into a knife and stabbed his neck with fiery energy. Snow, as Carl's representative, was also an expert in wormhole calculations. Ruoning's actions were naturally not concealed from him. The god-killing scythe flipped in his hand and cut away from his back. But who knew that Ruoning would not dodge? He raised his forearm and blocked the blade of the god-killing scythe with his gauntlet, and the knife made a wound on Snow's neck as he dodged. But because the wound was too shallow, It quickly recovered under the powerful recovery power of the divine body. However, the cut wound on Ruanning's forearm continued to seep out golden energy particles. This is the super gene that has been interfered with by the special energy of the god-killing martial arts. It is unable to condense the wound and leaks out energy. If not dealt with, Ruanning will gradually become weak. This is just like the blood of ordinary creatures. Once the energy of the divine body reaches a certain level, the divine body will become extremely weak and unable to maintain its own strength. Seeing this, Ruanning cursed in her heart. Her sword was no longer with her, and she couldn't use many of her driving abilities. As for using the flame bombing algorithm with bare hands like the second and third holy left wings, because the divine body was adjusted to accommodate micro-wormhole transportation, Ruanning's divine body was inferior to the normal angel divine body in many aspects. This is the price of choice. Liangbing is like this, and Ruanning is no exception. If Ruanning is allowed to lurk and carry out assassinations, she will be a few steps ahead of angels of the same level. Ruanning and Snow disappeared almost at the same time, and then appeared at the same time more than 10 meters away. Snow, who has entered the state, can obviously keep up with Ruanning's wormhole shuttle. In addition, this is the Death Song Academy, so he has the home field advantage. Moreover, Ruanning did not have a matching weapon, but Snow had the god-killing scythe in his hand. As a result, Ruanning missed many opportunities most of the time in order to dodge Snow's attacks. However, as the surrounding walls and rooms were destroyed by the aftermath of the battle between the two, Carl did not intend to watch anymore, and the computing power of the big clock instantly covered the entire scene. A barrier surging with blue energy appeared and covered Ruanning. Just as Ruanning was about to travel through the wormhole, Carl changed the space medium within a radius of 1 kilometer, causing Ruanning to miscalculate the distance and fail to escape from Carl's attack range. The next moment Ruanning felt that his body was wrapped in a layer of energy, as if he was in a special planetary environment with dozens of times the gravity, making every move and movement very difficult. Snow took advantage of the opportunity to transform into a blurry phantom and quickly moved to Ruanning's side. The god-killing sickle in his hand drew an arc and penetrated Ruanning's back. Ruanning lowered his head and stared at the point of the sickle piercing through his chest. He was about to endure the pain and turned around, but was thrown aside by Snow waving the god-killing sickle in his hand. Now Ruanning completely lost the ability to attack again. Fortunately, she stopped moving and leaned against the broken wall behind her. Ruanning covered her chest and said with a smile, "I am the holy left wing of the angels, and I will always be loyal to Queen Keisha. And you don't deserve my allegiance." After saying this, Ruanning simply started to self-decompose his divine body, so as to avoid the pain of being tortured by the god-killing energy. A generation of holy leftists, the top angel war god who once ruled half of the universe, turned into energy particles under the watchful eyes of Carl and Snow, and dissipated in the place where she had been imprisoned for hundreds of years. In fact, when Carl said that he wanted to make her king, Ruanning's heart was briefly shaken. She once imagined that she would become the king of angels and lead Merlot heaven to control the entire universe. But Ruanning, who once served as the holy left wing, is not an innocent guy who is easily moved by other people's words. Even if he becomes the king of angels, he is just a lackey of Carl. Ruanning can accept other people's criticism of her, or she can use some tricks to get closer to Queen Kesha, but the only thing she can't let go of is her identity as an angel. If the conspiracy with Carl is exposed in the future, she will become a fallen angel and be forever nailed to the pillar of shame in Merlot heaven, becoming the traitor she once hated. So Ruanning finally made his choice. As an angel warrior, he died in a battle with a powerful enemy, even if the battle was not fair. News of the incident that happened at Death Song Academy has not spread, but judging from Ruanning's behavior of willing to die rather than cooperate, the hidden information collected from her before may have been manipulated. Because if Ning can crack the restriction device that limits her genetic engine, it means that her application of sacred language is not weak, so she has the ability to tamper with dark information data. However, Carl did not inform Hua, who had already sneaked into the Angel Nebula, about this because he was not sure whether the dark information data read by the big clock was correct or not. On the outskirts of the Marrow star field, Hua led a group of male angels to sneak around a team of angels who were patrolling on a daily basis. Relying on the Void Engine's ability to tamper with the laws of physics, Hua followed the instructions of the Carl cult and shielded the dark energy radiation from his male angels and himself, avoiding being scanned by the angels' eyes of insight. In addition, before setting off, Hua modified the identification information of himself and his subordinates based on the data given by Carl, which meant that they were friendly forces in the angels' regular scanning system. But this friendly force also has a limit. If the scale exceeds a certain level, it will attract the attention of the Merlot Heavenly Court supercomputer and conduct screening. In this way, Hua and his group of angels will be exposed. But Hua was not a fool, and would not fully believe the data given by Carl, so he deliberately wandered around the Angel Nebula's Angel Legion for a few times, and was reassured when he found that no one noticed. So Hua led dozens of Tiangong group elites to sneak into the vicinity of the Marrow planet system, and confirmed the location of the Angel prison based on the star map provided by Carl. But in fact, as soon as Hua and his group of angels entered the outskirts of the Marrow planetary system, they were discovered. They carried the identification information of regular angels. Moreover, it was the identification information of the retired subordinates of Ruaning, the fourth holy left-winger, so the scanning system of Mellow Heaven specially marked them separately, making them extremely conspicuous. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1031. King, do you feel a little strange? Even if Merlot Heavenly Court's troops are insufficient, such an important place as the Angel Prison will not be without any angel troops stationed. Facing the questions raised by his Tiangong generals, Hua also discovered something unusual. Their infiltration was too smooth. Even though they had the identification information of angels, it was impossible not to encounter any checkpoints along the way, as if they were not saboteurs sneaking in, but invited guests. Listening to what you said, I also smelled a hint of conspiracy. But now that the elites of the Merlot Heavenly Court are fighting against our Heavenly Palace army on the front line, all that is left of the Merlot Heavenly Court are some young angel recruits. Even if there is a conspiracy, my black hole engine is not a vegetarian. There is no place in this universe that can trap me. Hua was very confident about this. Although the battle plan formulated by Carl was a bit unreliable, Hua believed in the authority of the other party in terms of technical ability. Although the simulated black hole created by the black hole engine is not as capable of swallowing galaxies and annihilating stars as quickly as a real black hole, it can also cause local distortion of space and time. It can be said that he is the natural enemy of any space technology. As long as he has this trump card, Hua is confident that he can break any time and space cage. The only thing that can trap him now is the independent space formed by using space technology. And it was too late to return now. If they were really discovered, there might be angel warriors surrounding them on the way back. It would be better to go all the way to the dark side, break into the angel prison, liberate the criminals imprisoned by the angels, and increase the strength of your side. Moreover, his attack on the angel prison was a temporary one, and he did not reveal any information before arriving in the Marrow planet system. Hua didn't believe that Merlot Heaven could set up any decent trap in such a short period of time. Keep moving forward. Since the other party is not on guard against us, then go indirectly, find Liang Bing, release the other prisoners in the prison and we will withdraw. After Hua finished speaking, he led dozens of angels under his command to the angel prison built on a giant asteroid, and came to the main building with its top exposed. Looking at the angel prison where even the gate was not guarded by angels, Hua was finally sure that there might be a trap ahead. But judging from the fact that he and others were not surrounded by the angel army, the strength of Merlot Heavenly Court at this moment is probably sufficient, otherwise there would be no need to go to such trouble. Two Tiangong guards took the initiative to push open the holy white door carved with layers of carvings, and Huaye stepped in. In an instant, the surrounding environment suddenly changed. Huaye felt that the surrounding space began to change rapidly, and the large elevator tunnel leading to the bottom of the prison that he had seen gradually disappeared. Instead, the surrounding walls gradually solidified, and the originally narrow angel prison passage suddenly transformed into the interior of a vast palace. This was a strange change, causing many of the Tiangong guards present to nervously raise their weapons and guard their surroundings. Hexi was sitting on the high throne platform at the end of the palace with his legs crossed, flanked by a group of high-level angel warriors wearing face shields. "This is your handiwork, He 11. You have been proficient in this technique since tens of thousands of years ago. Now your technique has become even more sophisticated. Even I, the king, can't feel anything abnormal." Huaye opened his mouth to praise, but secretly he had raised his vigilance to the highest level. If Binghua is an expert in head-on fighting, Kesha is the one who is unmatched and powerful, while Hexi is the one with the most bizarre methods and can often trick his opponents around. "Huaye, I haven't seen you for tens of thousands of years, but you have changed a lot. At least you are better at talking, and your words sound much better than before." Hexi looked down at Huaye and the group of angels at the palace gate, and said with a chuckle, as if the two were old friends who had not seen each other for many years. "But it seems that you went to Merlot Heaven with your retired angel identification information, not just to reminisce with me." Hearing He 11's words, Huaye couldn't help but start to curse Karl in his heart. He originally thought that he was a little unreliable, but he didn't expect that he was so unreliable. Tell him the identification information of the retired angels. Doesn't this clearly tell Merlot Heaven that there is something wrong with their group of infiltrated angels? "Hexi, we are old acquaintances after all. I think there is really no need for Merlot Heavenly Court and Tiangong Palace to fight each other like they are now. After all, we all belong to the angelic civilization. In the end, we both suffered losses. Wouldn't it be that we were advantaged by outsiders in vain? How about we join forces and get rid of Karl, who is watching the show from the sidelines first, and then we can slowly study who is leading the Angel Nebula. What do you think?" Huaye chose to skip the topic of identification information. He stepped out of the protection of the guard angels and opened his arms to propose to He 11. "You are really good at joking. As a branch of angels, I am guilty of killing Holy Kesha, the king of angels. With such a rebellious move, do you think it is possible for us to coexist peacefully?" He 11 said coldly, almost amused by Huaye's whims. "Ahem, wait. When did our male angels become a branch of your female angels? We male angels are the orthodox angels, and you female angels should be the branches." Huaye was unhappy and immediately retorted. "If Kesha hadn't given up on annihilating you all back then, do you think you could still be standing here talking to me today? But it seems that Queen Kesha made a wrong decision at that time, otherwise you would not have run up to me and continued jumping around today." He 11's words were like a sharp knife piercing Huaye's heart. The reason why the remnants of Tiangong's soldiers were able to survive at that time had a lot to do with Kesha stopping the pursuit. Of course there is the factor that Huaye is better at running, but there is also the reason why Kesha deliberately left male angels behind to prevent the angel civilization from going to absolute extremes. Forget it, I and you can't talk together. Anyway, in the end, the swords in our hands will do the talking. Huaye carried out his jet-black king sword, and the angel guards and generals behind him also raised their cross swords. "Since you want to let the sword speak, then let you do so." He 11 stood up from the throne and stretched out his hand. A heavy sword with sacred language runes engraved on it appeared from it and was held by him and pointed at Huaye. This was like a signal to start a war. A group of Tiangong guards suddenly rushed out behind Huaye, as did the high-ranking angels below He 11. Fortunately, the space of this palace is very huge, so the angels are not crowded together, but it cannot be called vast. After all, there are dozens of angels fighting here. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1032. In an instant, the aftermath of the collision of circles of dark energy spread out in the originally solemn palace, causing the palace's supporting columns and walls to tremble uncontrollably. Even if the material used to build this palace is considered very tough, it may not be able to sustain it for long in the face of so many angels fighting. Moreover, Huaye and He 11, who are responsible for the combat power of both sides, have not yet moved. With a crashing sound, the floor-to-ceiling windows on the side of the palace were smashed by a flying heavenly palace guard. The remaining angels followed suit and rushed out of the palace to fight in the wider space outside. It seems that my king's side still has the advantage in terms of troops. A smile appeared on Huaye's face, because there were still 12 Tiangong guards left around him, while He 11 didn't have any angels around him. Really? I hope you can continue to laugh after a while. He 11 raised his hand slightly, and the space beside him became blurry, and then figures stepped out of it. Huaye's smile suddenly froze on his face, because on the high throne platform in front of him, there were 8 hexi who looked exactly the same and had no distinction between good and bad temperament. Moreover, there is no difference in their equipment. They have the same silver armor and the Angel King sword. Moreover, through Huaye's void engine scan, these hexi are all entities. While exchanging technology with Binghua, I was very interested in Sun Wukong's clone technique, so I followed the example and created some clones. Usually they are all eating ashes in the warehouse, but this time to entertain you, I took them all out. Don't underestimate them just because they are clones. At certain times, they can also act as their true form. A slight smile appeared on the face of He 11 in the middle, and then he raised his sword and pointed it at Huaye. Come together and kill him. The next moment, 7 hexi rushed out at the same time, targeting Huaye, who was protected by the guards. TCH, it's not like I haven't seen it before. Binghua's clone was killed by me. Huaye raised his sword to face the rushing He's eyes. The weapons in both sides' hands collided in the air, and a dark energy shockwave spread out. The flat palace hall immediately seemed to have been crushed by something, becoming fragmented and covered with small cracks. Huaye met 1 hexi, and the remaining hexi was stopped by the guards beside Huaye. Although they are only imperial guards, they are equivalent to Huaye's personal guards. They have received the best resource supply and almost all have upgraded their angelic bodies. Of course, it is only the most common divine body. High-level divine bodies consume too many resources. With the current foundation of Tiangong, it is not possible to upgrade divine bodies for too many angels. Huaye himself blocked the fierce attack of 2 hexi, and the remaining 5 were surrounded by 12 Tiangong guards, but judging from the battle situation, they fought a little reluctantly. 2 against 1, or even 3 against 1, He 11's clone was suppressing and beating him. If this continues, his goal of entering Angel Prison will probably not be accomplished today. While Huaye was thinking about this, He 11, who was standing on the high platform of the throne, moved, swooped down from the air with a leap, and slashed hard with the king's sword in his hand. Huaye quickly rolled around to avoid the sharp blow, raised his hand and waved a sword energy to push back the other 2 He 11 who were approaching. Seeing this, He 11, who was slightly behind, raised his sword and swung a flaming cross slash towards Huaye, but was swept away by his sword wrapped in surging dark energy. One of the 3 hexi who besieged Huaye frowned slightly. He didn't expect Huaye to be so strong. Although the clone was not as good as the real 3rd generation divine body, it was still at this level in terms of output. It's just that the clone's fighting method is a little more rigid than the one controlled by her original body. After all, it is a compiled combat database, which cannot be said to be very flexible. Huaya naturally discovered this, but he still found it difficult, because watching the three Hexi rush towards him was not to mention how disturbing it felt. Moreover, after the brief trial just now, these clones of He-11 were found to be ridiculously strong in swordsmanship. If he hadn't had a good foundation in swordsmanship, he would have been cut into pieces just now. At this moment, a cry of pain rang out, and a sword from He-11's clone penetrated the abdomen of a Tiangong Imperial Guard. As the first Tiangong Imperial Guard was injured, the remaining Tiangong Imperial Guard suddenly became a little more cautious in the battle with He-11's clone, but this had the opposite effect. Because the Tian-based supercomputer responsible for operating these clones is analyzing the fighting habits of these Tiangong Guards. The effect manifested in the battle was that Hexi's clone began to predict the moves of the Tiangong Guards who were besieging him in advance, and then used a cold trick to pierce one of the Tiangong Guards together with his armor. On the other hand, there is the gap in weapons. You must know that Hexi's clone is also equipped with the Ansu Silver King sword. Although it lacks a special weapon engine, its strength is not comparable to the standard void weapon in the hands of the male angel. Therefore, after a few collisions, the weapon in the male angel's hand began to appear damaged in various sizes, and in some cases, even the most basic dark energy cutting could not be driven smoothly. Seeing that his bodyguards were beginning to lose weight, Huaya couldn't help it anymore and raised his hand to open the disc-shaped black hole engine operating interface. As Huaya clenched his fist fiercely, a turbulent void energy shockwave spread out regardless of the enemy or friend. The Imperial Guards of Tiangong who were fighting with He-11's clone half knelt on the ground in pain, covering their helmets. Hexi's clone was rushed by this energy, and the dark energy system in his body was disturbed, causing a moment of chaos. The space-based supercomputer immediately restarted the system of Hexi's clone, and at the same time captured Huaye's dark energy shockwave data to build a protective algorithm. But Huaye, who was not affected, took advantage of this moment and rushed to the clone controlled by He-11 himself. His sword sank into its abdomen, and then void energy exploded. "I have seen you a long time ago. This should be your true form," Huaya said excitedly, and He-11, who was stunned, stared at the spreading blue cracks in his abdomen, and then his body softened and fell backwards. "What's going on? Why didn't you stop?" Huaya was only happy for a moment before he had to retreat sharply to avoid the attacks of other Hexi, and at the same time asked questions in confusion. "What a pity, that is not my true body. But you destroyed one of my precious clones, how are you going to compensate me? Why don't we play a little game? As long as you survive, I won't pursue this matter." He-11's voice sounded from all over the palace, and it was so elusive that Huaya couldn't find the direction it came from. But at the next moment, all the clones of Hexi simultaneously forced back the enemies in front of them, and suddenly retreated into the insect door that opened behind them. The same goes for the outside world. The high-level angels who were entangled with the guards of the Tiangong general also retreated into the wormhole when Huaye's side was unable to react in time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1033. Immediately, Huaya noticed a change in the surrounding space, and the Tiangong guards outside were moved around him. All the male angels who came to attack the angel prison this time, except for those who had already died, were concentrated in the palace hall. Then a translucent blue energy barrier enveloped Huaya and others like a giant bowl, even the ground beneath their feet was not missed. Seeing this, the Tiangong guards immediately began to attack the barrier with their weapons, but in the end they couldn't even make a few ripples on it. Seeing this, Huaya also sensed that the situation was not good, and asked the guards of the heavenly palace to get out of the way. He activated the black hole engine again, added a layer of charge to his king's sword, and struck hard at the energy barrier. There was a bang. The exploding void energy formed a detonation inside the barrier, exploding a group of male angels in Hwaya into pieces. But the barrier only showed subtle fluctuations, and Hwaya's heart suddenly felt cold. The sound of He-11's voice that followed made Hwaya panic even more. This barrier is built according to the specifications of the Skyblade defense system. You can't break it with the toy in your hand. Of course, if you're not afraid of blowing yourself up, you can also increase the energy power. I'm really looking forward to this, and you don't have much time. The temperature inside the barrier will rise by 1 level every minute, and will not stop until it reaches the same level as the star. Hwaya anxiously slashed at the barrier one after another. Just as He-11 said, the barrier showed no sign of instability. He-11, who was sitting on the throne of the Mellow Hall in the Mellow Heavenly Court, looked at the projected image and wondered how Hwaya's head grew. Didn't Carl tell him what consequences he would face if he broke into a scientific research officer's territory without permission? Merlot Heavenly Court and the surrounding star field are her home field. If she hadn't learned that when Hwaya sneaked in, the other party had already touched the vicinity of the angel prison. He-11 only had to release his star life to chase Hwaya all over the universe. Jump around. However, He-11 only spent a moment to formulate a plan to invite you to the urn. The space-based computing cloud used wormhole technology to connect the entrance to the angel prison, and set the exit to the virtual heaven she had studied over the years. It is a separate small space, and it cannot exist for a long time. The advantage is that it can temporarily isolate the outside from interfering with the inside. This is to prevent Carl from providing help to Hwaya. In addition, He-11 sent a group of his clones and some high-level angels to hold Hwaya down, and secretly built a flare furnace in the virtual heaven. Finally, through Kesha's treasure house of sacred knowledge, he deployed the energy of Merlot Heaven to set up the space-time deflection shield surrounding Hwaya and others. So a simple space-time trap was created. If there were no accidents, Hwaya would probably be burned to death by the flare furnace. But He-11 always had a feeling that Hwaya would not be solved so easily because the full functionality of the opponent's black hole engine had never been fully exposed. And how to solve the mimetic black hole is a difficult problem, because once Hwaya regains his composure, he can use the mimetic black hole to break the situation. But the price is that he fell into the time and space trap with him this time, and none of the personal guards trapped in the time and space deflection shield survived. Because only Hwaya can rely on the energy of the void engine to tamper with the concept and erase the influence of the mimetic black hole on itself at close range. This is a conspiracy, and it is also the method that He-11 can temporarily think of to cause the greatest damage to Hwaya. As for personally killing Hwaya near the Mellow Heavenly Court, the chance of success was too slim. He-11 combined various conditions through the space-based computing cloud and obtained a success rate of less than 20%. Because as long as Hwaya wants to run away, it will be difficult for him to stay with the void engine. Time came to the 15th minute when Hwaya and the angels were trapped in the space-time deflection shield. Fiery energy surged within the barrier, and Hwaya and others were completely in a sea of fire. The temperature inside the barrier has exceeded 10,000 degrees. The decorations on the armors of the angels have all turned into ashes, and even the armors have become hot. However, the person who followed Hwaya this time was also a high-level male angel. He could still bear it for the time being, but as another minute passed, the temperature inside the barrier doubled in an instant. The energy reserve in an injured male angel's body bottomed out, and he let out a piercing scream, turning into a burning torch, vaporizing and disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. King, what should we do? If this continues, we may all die here. A male angel general shouted in panic. Hwaya was helpless at the moment. He gritted his teeth and simply turned on the black hole engine, creating a barrier for the male angels present to resist the erosion of the hot energy outside. Hua, it's been 17 minutes now, and you still have 13 minutes. After 13 minutes, the temperature of the flare furnace will reach its peak. How long do you think you can survive in a star with your energy reserves? At this moment, He-11's words rang in Hua's ears, making the atmosphere at the scene even more desperate, because this was a dead end. 20 minutes later, the inside of the barrier was now filled with blazing ultra-high temperature plasma. They were constantly burning and eroding the void energy barrier created by Hua like a liquid. Although void energy is very powerful and can do many incredible things, after all, it still needs energy to maintain. At this moment, Hua already felt that he could not hold on for much longer, and the angel guards he protected also knew that their king might no longer be able to maintain their estrangement. King, please remove the barrier quickly. If this continues, you will also fall. Facing the shouts of all his subordinates, Hua just kept a sullen face and said nothing. After dozens of seconds, Hua said in a deep voice. It was my own will that led you into the trap. It's all because I trust that guy Carl too much. After this incident, I will definitely go to him to settle the matter. A guard closest to Hua comforted him, King, we don't blame you, it's just a pity that we can't see the day when you can re-establish order in the heavenly palace. Wang, please remove your barriers, save your own energy as much as possible, and rush out to lead our male angels to rise again. Hua closed his eyes in pain, gritted his teeth and said bitterly. This king will take revenge on you. After the words fell, the void barrier that isolated the hot and high temperature plasma from the outside world gradually disappeared. Except for Hua, all the male angels let out piercing screams and transformed into human-shaped torches. In the blink of an eye, his hair and armor burned and vaporized one by one, then his entire body, and finally nothing was left. Hua stared at this scene, and then started the black hole engine. As the singularity of space and time formed in front of him, the surrounding blazing high-temperature plasma was quickly swallowed up. In fact, during that period of time, after Hua calmed down, he thought of a way to break the flare furnace, which was to break it with greater force. But just as He-11 concluded, if the mimetic black hole formed in this way would swallow up all the male angels except him, there would be no place to hide. As the mimetic black hole was completely formed, the space-time deflection shield used to trap Hua could not withstand the huge gravity and collapsed, and then everything in the entire virtual heaven was swallowed up. As the dark border around him shattered like glass, Hua found himself back in front of the gate of Angel Prison. It seemed as if everything before was a dream, but the burns on his body and the disappearance of his subordinates told Hua that everything that happened in less than an hour was real. After taking a look around, Hua turned around and without even saying a harsh word, turned into a stream of light and swept towards the distant starry sky. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1034. Hua's attack on the Angel Prison ended in failure. Styx's Beast Coalition attacking the Red Crow star system also encountered an unprecedentedly powerful enemy, the Purifier Legion led by Samilo. The world of justice that has fought with Samilo has the most say in this matter. The battlefield where the enemy is not reduced no matter how much they are destroyed, charging madly regardless of battle losses, will be feared and disgusted by any civilization. In fact, the fleet of the Styx galaxy has already experienced this feeling. They established a foothold near Pluto a month ago. But now 2 months have passed, but they are still standing still in the space near Pluto. During this period, the animal civilization in Styx had lost count of how many purification flagships and other large and small ships it had destroyed, but the purification fleet group could always fight back the next day with a superior force than before. The two sides just pushed back and forth in the space area near Pluto. In order to break through this line of defense, the animal civilization filled in an unknown number of troops. The Samilo Purification Corps in the Justice world only lost time and raw materials. Even during this period, Semilo's construction corps also established a recycling center near the moon. After every war, a small fleet of Semilo's carrier fleets would go to the battlefield, pull back the damaged warships of both sides, and pass them through the recycling center for resource reuse. These recovered resources will then be used to print parts of the purification fleet through a material printer, and will be assembled at the Lunar Automatic Assembly Center before heading to the not-so-distant battlefield of Pluto. When the Just World did this, it did not carry China behind its back, and this war model made the people of China amazed. The power of Styx's invasion force also made China feel suffocated. They could not imagine what kind of outcome they would face if there was no righteous world to stop these invaders. After more than half a year of negotiations, the Blue Star Coalition government led by China finally announced to the citizens who had longed for a just world that Blue Star would join the just world. The just world naturally agrees to Blue Star's request, because the just world will always accept those who are willing to abide by the concept of the just world. Moreover, civilizations that join the justice world generally have the feeling that the more civilizations join the justice world, the stronger the justice world will be. Now that China has become its own people, the weak China army will naturally be looked down upon by the Alal's people who are also in the righteous world. So the military assistance plan led by the Alal's people was immediately launched. For the time being, the concept of gradual improvement was abandoned and the plan was implemented first. In order to adapt to the complex and ever-changing interstellar battlefield, the Alal's people began to replace China's regular army with their mature defense force power armor. Others, such as ground support vehicles and super heavy mobile combat vehicles, are shipped to China in thousands. At the same time, the Alal's people have also provided technical guidance and resource support for several space carriers that have been built in China. In fact, the reason why the people of Alal's are so interested in China is, on the one hand, because China has joined the world of justice, and on the other hand, the Chaiwa star system is the fulcrum established by the goddess in the known universe. If China is too weak, this fulcrum may be lost at any time in the future. Therefore, in order to stabilize this most important bridgehead in the known universe, the world of Alal spares no effort to assist China. On the moon, in the palace of the goddess, Sun Wukong leaned against the support pillar in the palace with his chest in his arms, complaining to Binghua. Binghua, look at how China no longer looks like China since you came to China. Sun Wukong, firstly I didn't force them to join, and secondly I didn't lure them, so it's my fault in the end. Binghua, who was sitting on the throne, crossed her legs and said with a smile. At the same time, she did not forget to prop up her face with the back of her hands, making her look a little lazy. This is what makes me unhappy. I have been protecting them for thousands of years, but I didn't expect them to be so disappointing in the end. Of course, what Sun Wukong was angry about was not Binghua, but a sense of hatred towards China for not being self-reliant and self-reliant. What's so strange about this? Although you are powerful, you are not powerful enough to protect them from foreign enemies. The last Dowdy invasion forced you to stay on the surface and not dare to leave. But now that the Styx army is attacking, the world of justice has built a line of defense here and blocked them effortlessly. In addition, we are a collection of multiple civilizations, and the conditions for joining are also very loose. Isn't it obvious to want to join us? Regarding Binghua's explanation, Sun Wukong changed the topic after pondering for a while. Forget it, old Sun, won't tell you whether these things are there or not. What are you going to do with those little guys? The little guys mentioned by Sun Wukong, of course, refer to the soldiers of the Xiangbing Company. Now that China has joined the world of justice, the regular troops have begun to change their uniforms. However, the positioning of the Xiangbing Company that Shenzhou spent great efforts to establish seems a bit embarrassing. The current Xiangbing Company is at a level that is neither high nor low. Although they are stronger than ordinary troops, their numbers are too small to play a decisive role. As a member of the Xiangbing Company and having fought side by side with Ge Xiaolun and the others, Sun Wukong would naturally not mind mentioning the Xiangbing Company in front of Binghua if he had the chance. Are you talking about the power of Kamigawa and the others? Now that they have become members of the righteous world, I will train them well in the future. After all, when a few of them grow up, there will be several more fighting gods comparable to the main gods in the world of justice. In fact, before Sun Wukong arrived, Binghua had already asked Jingnan, who had just jumped over to serve as an auxiliary officer, to summon the army of heroes from China to the moon. At this moment, the Xiangbing Company has 2 teams with a total of 13 official members. One team is captained by Ge Xiaolun, and the second team is captained by Lu Chuang. And Jace is still the captain and chief instructor of the Xiangbing Company, responsible for deploying and commanding them. In fact, after the Daodi invasion battle, Jess Gooding's combat effectiveness was no longer comparable to that of Ge Xiaolun and Lu Chuang, who were the leaders. Although he is the commander, he rarely makes arrangements for Ge Xiaolun's actions. Most of the time, they make their own decisions. At this moment, the Xiangbing Company and the others, who had just gotten off the shuttle between the moon and Blue Star, looked at the busy and highly automated moon starport around them, and they all showed a look of amazement. Although China is only over 400,000 kilometers away from the moon palace of the justice world, the moon palace is the temporary residence of the goddess of the justice world. If there is no special matter on the China side, there is no way to enter the moon's defense range.